Miller Fáilte, go dtí on Timbermore. Welcome to Arklow. Few towns of comparable size in Ireland today can boast of a music, culture and heritage to match that of Arklow. Yes, Arklow, probably more famed for its maritime traditions than its music. Maybe all this music is due to Arklow's unique and cosmopolitan makeup, forged by Arklow's seafaring heritage, together with all the heavy industry attracted to Arklow Harbour over the years. The Avoca Mines, Kynox, Arklow Pottery, IFI, formerly NET, to name but a few firms who were located here down the years. Anyway, our voyage of discovery will try to unravel the mystery of the people, the places, and the music of Arklow.
Underway. They are not like a good fight hand, and they're one of the best. World champions. They're very welcome to me in the band. That's a long way to go. Isn't that a lovely float indeed? You're nearly home now, Catherine. You're just across the way. You're all right. Take it easy. Thank you very much. Great medal. One of our transport firms here. Associations in Ireland. With their new flag corps with them today. They look absolutely fabulous. Their new hats, the new... Yeah, how about a round of applause for that?
Mark, Colin, Mark, man!
point of discovery here at the remnants of the old Ormond Castle, the seat of power to the Earls of Ormond, the Butlers. The castle, built on the site of an earlier Viking fortification, following the Norman invasion of 1169, the lands and castle of Arklow was granted to Theobald Walter. Walter, who in 1177 was made Chief Butler of Ireland. The old castle has had a checkered career, being attacked by both the Irish clans of the MacMurraghs and the O'Byrnes and the forces of the Crown, until finally being burned down by its own garrison on the approach of Cromwell's army in 1649. The Ormond Castle, in a strange way, still houses the seat of power to the town of Arklow, in that Arklow's newly refurbished town hall is housed in the adjoining building. During the 18th and 19th centuries, the Butlers leased most of their land and property in Arklow to Ralph Howard. The Howard family, who founded Shelton House, and the old mansion became known as Shelton Abbey, the ancestral home to the Earls of Wicklow. Now to speak of Shelton, that place of high renown, where the regal Earl resides on level ground, may be a pattern to all whom I wish well, and many a fine long summer's day in Shelton may dwell. Shelton Abbey is now owned by the state and used by the government as a state detention centre. Straddling either side of the River of Oka Valley, the two great estates dominating the Arklow landscape during the 19th century were Shelton of the Howard dynasty, spreading from Ferrybank upriver towards Avoca on the north side of the river, and on the south side of the river, Glenart, the seat of power to the Earls of Carysford, the Probies. Glenart Castle was built in 1750. The most famous of the Earls of Carysford was Admiral Granville Proby of the Royal Navy. Proby was Member of Parliament for Wicklow from 1818 to 1832. Granville Proby was a veteran of Nelson's famous victory at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. Granville Proby, 3rd Earl, died in 1868, aged 86 years. The Carysford title became extinct with the death of the 5th Earl, William Proby, in 1910. Wexford Estate stretched from Lamberton Gate Lodge through to Wooden Bridge village. History has it, these lands in the south of the county were once the stronghold of the O'Byrnes. The O'Byrnes held sway here for some 400 years until the death of clan chieftain Fiach Mac Hugh O'Byrne. Wicklow was finally declared a county in 1603 for the better government thereof. The last county to be created in Ireland, making Wicklow the county known as the Garden of Ireland, the youngest county in Ireland. The O'Byrnes also played a prominent role in another chapter of Arklow's past, the 1798 rebellion. By 1850, a rebellion of an altogether different nature had already begun. The Industrial Revolution. Here in the Avoca Valley, some 2,000 men were being employed by the Hibernian Mining Company. The Hibernian Mining Company, owners of the mines, were also at that time owners of Arklow Harbour. A year earlier, in 1849, a tramway had been built for transporting the ore produced at the mines to Arklow Harbour. These were boom years for the mines. Due to world demand for copper and sulphur, production soared at the mines, and by 1854, production stood at 140,000 tonnes annually of copper ore and iron pyrites. Shipping was now needed urgently to carry all this ore for export, and the merchants of Arklow were to meet this demand head-on, commissioning the buying and building of sailing ships. And within a few short decades, a fine fleet of sailing ships was built up, the Arklow shipping of its day. Some of these old schooners had the distinction of being built, owned and crewed all by Arklow men. However, Like all booms, world demand for copper waned, and in the 1860s, with the arrival of the railways, the Hibernian Mining Company lost interest in Arklow and its harbour, and by 1881, the mining company had sold out its interest in the harbour altogether. New development was now needed for the old harbour, and after the passing of the Arklow Harbour Act in 1882, commissioners were appointed to manage the harbour. First job of the new board was the building of new piers. The South Pier was constructed in 1885, to be followed by the North Pier in 1894. In the 1880s, the country had a new champion, legendary Member of Parliament and local entrepreneur Charles Stewart Parnell of Avondale. Parnell, Home Rule Member of Parliament, was also leader of the Irish Party at Westminster. As well as being a skilled parliamentarian, Parnell was also an industrialist with an avid interest in mining, founding Parnell Quarries at Arklow Rock in 1884. A narrow gauge railway was built alongside the South Beach to transfer the stone sets used in paving produced at the quarry to the South Quay jetty for export to all the major cities of Britain. Stone sets were also used in Dublin to pave the quays. Parnell Quarries also invested in Arklow Harbour, supplying both capital and stone for the erection of quay walls. Unfortunately, the man who became known as the uncrowned King of Ireland, Charles Stewart Parnell, devastated by scandal over his affair with Mrs. Kitty O'Shea, died in Brighton in October 1891. Parnell's brother John sold the family interest in Arklow Parnell Quarries out altogether in 1898. Parnell's legacy is now being carried on at Arklow Rock by Roadstone Exports Limited. Roadstone, operating the quarry at Arklow Rock since the early 1960s, now export stone produced at the quarry from their own purpose-built deep-water jetty at Arklow Rock. last century, a major new industry had located in Arklow, Kynox of Birmingham, establishing an explosive factory in the old Arklow Chemical Works at the North Quay in 1895. Kynox's closure at the end of the First World War in 1918 seen the ships of the Kynox fleet being sold off. Together with the decommissioning of the factory, all this left a huge void in Arklow's employment front for years to come, until Arklow Pottery was established in the town in the 1930s. Certainly very hard to imagine, viewing these tranquil scenes at Arklow's Wildfowl Reserve, that this whole area of the North Beach, between the North Quay and Porter's Rocks, was once the site of Kynox Munitions Factory. Employing upwards of 2,000 people at the peak years of production between the years 1895 and 1918. Traces of the Kynox era in Arklow are still to be seen in the Ferrybank area of the town. Arklow Pottery. Established in the town in 1934, the pottery located on 11 acres of Arklow's dockland and manufactures of porcelain and high-quality tableware. The pottery has been the bedrock of the local economy for the last 60 years. Now in partnership with Narataki of Japan, a leading international manufacturer of high-quality ceramics. The company now employing close to 200 people and exporting 80% of production, the principal markets being the United States, Canada, the UK and Germany. Popular with visitors and tourists, are the guided tours of the factory, and wares produced in the pottery can be purchased in the on-site craft shop. Arklow pottery is deeply rooted in the local community. It would be hard to find anyone in Arklow not connected to the pottery in some way, either in having worked at the pottery or having a friend or relative employed there. The heyday of the pottery in the 1950s and 60s, when upwards of 600 people were employed at the pottery, is intertwined with the music of the period, the ballroom of romance days of the old ballrooms in the town, the Mayfair, the Ormond, and that mecca of 60s dancing, the entertainment centre. The pottery workers danced to the music of the show bands of the day. One local show band to make its breakthrough on the national stage in the 60s was Eddie Mac and the Columbia Show Band. Arklow Dock, built during the Carnocks era and opened in 1910 to alleviate shipping congestion in the river, the dock, an integral part of the harbour, has provided a safe haven for Arklow's fishing fleet ever since. The dock over the years has become home to much of Arklow's local industry and is also used by many of the maritime clubs and institutions of the town. Also located beside the dock is Arklow's Tidy Town's award-winning lifeboat station. Arklow's lifeboat station also has the proud distinction of being the oldest lifeboat station in the country, having been established in the town in 1826. Recent years have seen a mini revival in the fishing fleet. Boat numbers have increased. This revival is due almost exclusively to the introduction of whelk fishing. Another successful innovation has been the introduction of larger French-built trawlers to supplement the local fleet. Re-registered in Ireland, these trawlers can fish the deeper waters of the Irish and Celtic seas, and for longer periods. Here we find skipper John Stewart and the crew of the Warren Loch splicing a wire rope in preparation for a week-long fishing trip. The Warren Loch, formerly French owned, is renamed after a local beauty spot on Arklow's golf links. These larger trawlers of the fleet also engage in the lucrative fishing for oysters, fishing the deep waters of the Smalls, islands off the Welsh coastline. Arklow, famous for seafaring and shipbuilding skills. These skills were best exemplified with the launch in March 1981 by Taoiseach Charles J. Hoy of Lascar de Doe, Ireland's sail training brigantine. The Asgard, built here at the boatyard of John Turrell and Sons, a yard that has been in existence in the town since 1865. Built by local craftsmen to a design of legendary local boat builder the late Jack Turrell, naval architect. The Asgard, a traditional brigantine, is a two-masted vessel with square rig foremast and fore and aft rig mainmast. The Asgard's impressive dimensions are length on deck 84 feet, with an overall length of 105 feet and a beam of 21 feet. The mast height above laden waterline 91 feet. The Asgard has a draft of 9.5 feet, and the Asgard, when fully rigged, carries an impressive sail area of some 4,000 square feet of sail. Asgard de Doe is owned by the state, and the Minister for Defence is the registered owner. The Asgard, with a permanent crew of 5, master, mate, engineer, boatswain and cook, carries a trainee crew of 20, and anyone over the age of 16 years can apply for a place on one of the Asgard's programme cruises. These cruises, each of 1 to 3 weeks duration, take place in the sailing season between spring and autumn. One of the longest voyages undertaken by the Asgard was in 1985, when she crossed the Atlantic to visit America, and in 1988 she participated in the Australian bicentenary celebrations down under. The Asgard is also a regular participant and winner of the Cully Sarks tall ship races. The Asgard de Doe, with her imposing figurehead of brawny whale, the famous 16th century Mayo pirate queen, is named after the original Asgard, a gaff-rigged ketch owned by the father of the late President of Ireland, Erskine Childers. In 1914, the Asgard was used by the Irish volunteers for gun running purposes. The name Asgard is an Old Norse word meaning home of the gods. The Asgard, with her beautiful lines, is truly a wonderful ambassador for Ireland and a fine addition to Ireland's maritime heritage. The Breckland, Arklow Harbour Commissioner's fine new dredger. The Breckland is used at Arklow Harbour to alleviate a perennial problem at the harbour, shifting sand. Shipping of upwards of 2,000 tonnes is capable of being loaded here at Arklow Harbour. long-established local shipping agents, O'Toole Shipping, operate freight handling facilities at the harbour. Together with the dockers employed at the harbour, the port also generates employment for the local hauliers of the area. Transporting fertiliser from the local Irish fertilisers industries factory to the harbour for export. Here we see Polish ship the Rysalka loading fertiliser for the continent. As well as being central to the local economy, the harbour also provides a vital national link to the international export markets of Europe. A frequent visitor to Arklow, the 2,000-ton Rysalka is owned and operated by the Baltic Shipping Company of Poland. Another one of Arklow's traditional exports is native timber. Now exported to Scandinavia, in former years this timber was exported for use as pit props in the coal mines of the Welsh valleys. Arklow is also now a port of registry for shipping, as befits a port with the largest fleet of merchant ships in Ireland, Arklow Shipping. The ships of the Arklow shipping fleet are named after local landmarks and carry Arklow proudly in their title. All controlled from here at the nerve centre of Arklow Shipping on the North Quay. The fleet of Arklow Shipping is also serviced by another local firm of shipbuilders, Arklow Engineering. Founded in the early 1970s and builders of ferries, pilot boats and workboats, as well as linkspan bridges for clients all over the world. Arklow Engineering is owned and operated by another branch of the famous shipbuilding dynasty in the town, the Terrells. This scene in the river is reminiscent of the golden age of sail in Arklow, when instead of pleasure craft, the river was filled with trading schooners of all shapes and sizes. The last of these old schooners traded up until the late 1950s, to be eventually replaced by the modern ships of the Arklow shipping of the present day. One of Arklow's oldest bands, formed way back in 1941, that in the intervening years has become an Arklow institution. Current All-Ireland champions, St. Column Kills, Arklow's Pipe Band.